Hello, everyone. I'm Azara, and this is another episode of my podcast, La Revoltosa, or if you see me here in YouTube, hi, you see my face. So I just wanted to do, I just wanted to update a bit of where I am with my performance, with my final performance. I'm finding my idea moving a lot and somehow naturally flowing into a direction of movement. I established and I knew I wanted to have a little bit of modern dance at the beginning of the performance, and so representing the stage as a place of pain, sorrow, and as the initial state of where my story goes to. So I'm approaching the stage, and as soon as I touch the stage, it becomes this place of pain. So with a very slow modern dance, like very subtle movements around my face, my body, to represent, I was thinking to represent this pain, and at the same time, like while we are listening some classical music. So that's the beginning of the play, and then from there I'm gonna move into the narrator. So when I originally wrote the story, like this is my original storyline that I wrote at Jack's class. So I focus the story around the child, and I was thinking now that perhaps it makes sense to focus the story around the mother, because there's no child, physical child on the stage. So it's just gonna be me on the stage, and I think it's just gonna be easier if I do the story from the mother's point of view of how she felt during the pandemic, and how she felt the relationship with her son was changing, and what were the masks that she was wearing, and then how will that evolve to where we are now post-pandemic, and how the relationship has changed. So I'm gonna rewrite everything, and I'm going to focus on the mother. So the mother is the one that is telling us the story, or the story evolves around the mother. So I will play two characters, the narrator and the mother. So as I have said before, I'm really influenced by 80s, 90s Spanish pop group Mecano, and the narrator will have the vibe of Mecano and the vibe of another very big influence on my work, in this work, Federico Garcia Lorca, his poems, and especially those ones that represent the south of Spain, or like the relationships. So a song, like I would say the main song that I'm getting is influencing me in this performance is called Hijo de la Luna, Son of the Moon, and just gonna sing a bit, so sorry. I'm not great at singing, but it goes something like this. It's in Spanish, sorry. Tonto el que no entienda, cuenta una leyenda, que una hembra gitana conjura la luna hasta el amanecer. Llorando pedía al llegar el día de esposar un calé. So it's this tempo, it's this musicality that is bringing me into the pace of the narrator, and then the verse way of speaking. So the narrator will have that way of speaking and that type of tempo. It won't be singing, however. From the beginning, when I started thinking about this performance, I wanted to have it chorus. So am I just gonna have it at some point during a chorus? So when I was revising my notes, I found I brought this and I quite still like it, and I think I'm gonna keep it. So it says something like this: "Oh child, child of the moon, child of the desire, don't talk like that to your mom. She has tears of sorrow and pain." So this was coming. This is part of the piece of the performance where the behavior of the child starts to change and starts to speak disrespectfully to his mother, and so the pain that brings to the mother. So that comes to that side. Oh, I have the book somewhere else, the other book I have. And then so what I'm making is then, as I mentioned in my proposal, so I'm including masks. So I'm preparing a day with some of my friends, other children, and their children, to do masks, like cast masks. And so the narrator is gonna have this mask, white, plain, cast mask. So I want the face of the narrator to be in stillness, without motion, without any type of emotion. So as a Greek mask or Japanese mask, but without expressing, like the mask itself, any type of emotion, just really plain. The idea as well, like to use the cast, because the mask will have a surface that is perfect. I'm thinking with the light, probably it's gonna create some shadows around the face. So I would let the mask talk by itself with the light. So on stage, the idea is like it be a spotlight on the narrator, dark at the back, and hopefully the mask is going to create these shadows around the face that they're going to imprint a character and the narrator. The narrator talking about the different stages of actions, emotions that we saw with David. The narrator is always, I would say, the stage manager, like things get done. So no emotions, just facts. And that's the narrator. And that's how I'm gonna change from the narrator to the mother. So the narrator has a mask and the mother doesn't. And how I'm going to change from one character to the other one. So the narrator is gonna be placed probably at the right of the stage, so at the left of the audience, and the mother is gonna be on the other side. So she's gonna be at the left of the stage, right of the audience. And in the center, I will place a desk with a chair, and with a puppet that it will represent a child sitting on it. I've been talking to a friend of mine that she does therapy with children, and she's very good at puppetry. So she's been giving me some ideas on how to make the puppet, and how to make it like that is stable and it's not gonna collapse. The puppet, I'm getting this idea from Mauricio Catalan and one of his art pieces, which is like Charlie doesn't surf, Charlie don't surf. Don't remember right now, sorry. I don't have my notes with me, so this is everything from my head. So that's an art piece I saw at the Castello di Rivoli when I was living in Italy in 2001, 2002. And these days, like I was so shocked when I saw it because it was in this massive room, and then you have this child sitting on the desk at the end of the room by the huge window. And then when you approach the child, you notice that he has some pencils stuck on his hands, so he's stuck at the desk. And I thought it was horrific. So the shock was great and very strong. And so I'm being influenced by this idea. And my take is more of, as I was saying in my proposal, like the time that we spend on screens in general, not only children, but adults as well, is like it has increased massively since the pandemic, and started mostly in the pandemic. It's a tendency that has been happening already for a few years, since having the smartphones and unlimited data, which all that helps you to be constantly connected to your phone. So I saw how that tendency of being on your screen, it was like increasing, but those that they were still like keeping it healthy, I would say, like not being there that much. With the pandemic, boom, it went up. And so the idea I still have not decided fully how it's gonna be either. Like my original idea was like the child has his hands on the desk, and then he has two phones at each hand is holding one phone. So as if the phone is an extension of his arm, hand, and body, so it's together with him. A friend told me yesterday, perhaps instead of using hands, having phones. I think it's a good idea as well. I will see how it looks aesthetically, if it fits. Another idea is perhaps having his hands glued to an iPad. So the idea of, so what I want to represent with this is like the lack of mobility. So it has come to a point that we're not really using, we are stuck sitting, watching something. So our hands, they stop being like fingers, moving them around. It's like you have them static with something. We have developed actually some illnesses like from scrolling in our fingers, in our wrists, that they were new because we were not doing this movement so often. So I just want to portray that, like how we have changed in that regard of like we're sitting more and we're static in this position for hours and hours looking at something. So that's an idea to do with his hands. Another idea then with his face, I want his face to be blank. I've got a head, massage head actually. I am hoping and getting the one without lipstick, because that's the one I wanted. So I'm hoping and getting that. And then I have different ideas of what to do with the head. So one was either putting screens instead of eyes. So the face clearly changes. And there, I would say I'm influenced by the Scream, or like this long face with big dark eyes of pain, and somehow it is not a human anymore. So I want something like that, like having this idea of the child is not a human, it's not a human, but it's losing the connection with the world and what is like socializing, I would say. And so I had either the idea of like using fonts instead of eyes. Another idea is to put many masks around his face to portray as well this idea of when we were during the pandemic. So we have to, in some countries, not here, thanks God, in the UK, but you had to wear a mask all the time. And that was like, especially for me having a child, that was something that I felt it was really understand why it was done, but I felt it was very strong. Like you have a child playing and they have a mask, and then it's like, so the air circulation doesn't really go. So how good is that for the child breathing? Or the idea of hiding ourselves behind the mask. So how is that perception of like having half of your face covered, and how that as well has to do with your emotions. Do you show less emotions because your emotions are barely seen anyway because they cover? So that fact of wearing a mask influenced children and people to show less emotions. So I want to over exaggerate that fact. So perhaps like having like multiple masks around his face to give that idea of anguish, like hard breathing. And so the child is gonna be so after all this, so the child is gonna be all the time giving the back to the public, so you don't really see all those things. So you just see a child sitting at a desk, and the mother is gonna be addressing the child and saying things to the child. So I start with this little intro, classical music, modern dance, going into the narrator setting up the circumstances of what is happening, where we are, mask on, spotlight, going black, moving to the mother on the other side. And she's at the beginning of the pandemic, so she's addressing her concerns of, I think that all of us had, like, what's going to happen now? I had this plan and that's gone, and work, am I going to work? How I'm going to work? How I'm going to pay my rent? How I'm going to buy food? So all these concerns that I guess everyone had at the beginning of the pandemic. So she's just telling us about her concerns, and then she's talking about her child and how proud she is of him, of like he's doing his homework and he's keeping happy, and facing the difficulties that you have perhaps at home, of he's studying at home, but you don't really have a place for him to study, like, so he has to sit on perhaps on the steps of your staircase, and he's happy and just keeping cheerful. So she's addressing to the child, and then the character that's going to be changing different states is the mother. So state manager, always the narrator, static, precise. The mother is going to go into from neutral to emergency with control to just woke up. So she's gonna have these different levels, different ranges of movement characters through her emotions. So she's gonna address to him, and then we're gonna have the mother. So she's gonna be showing us when she's talking to the child and when she is talking to herself. So that's like the change of mask, and that's it's influenced by the film The Life is Beautiful. So how the father talks to his child about what is happening in the world, and then how he is feeling himself, knowing obviously exactly what's happening. So that duality is the one that the mother is going to have. And I'm going to show, so when she's talking to herself and she's being honest to herself, that's when we're gonna have these shifts in the motion, in the movement. So emergency with control, or emergency without control, or catharsis. So she's gonna even go to all those stages. So I'm going always to change in between characters and things. It's always a blackout and then spotlight on the character it is. So right now I have the entrance or the beginning of the performance decide. So the dance, narrator, mother addressing to the child, then mother's thoughts, and from there it breaks to the narrator again, and the narrator continues saying what's happening in their life. And this part I have not yet sew it together or put it together, but I know that's gonna be it's gonna be a moment. I want to implement this in the play because I really like it when we did this exercise, and I wanted to have it on the play because I want to show the different stages very quickly of like the emotional turmoil of the mother. And so I will have the mother perhaps cleaning or folding clothes, and she's gonna go through all the stages from the jelly bean, just woke up, so it's like from being very tired, devastated, and going on like recover, you have to carry on doing the things, and then it's like in autopilot, and then to the state of like I cannot hold it anymore. So probably she's gonna be folding clothes, like, you know, after doing the laundry and picking up your clothes and from the dry line. And while she's saying that, I will have a voice over it. So I'm considering recording the child, and as I mentioned on the original setup of the stories, like how the child changes, bless the child, gosh, from being as he was, and then started being a lot online, and then playing online games with his friends. That is the only way that he has to communicate and being with his friends. But these games sometimes they are a bit aggressive. So how she started listening to him saying words or saying phrases that could be a bit disturbing, simply because he's playing a game. The game I'm referring to is it's a very well online, very well-known online game with different players that they live in this world and they fight against each other. So how she started to hear her child saying things like, "Oh, kill them, follow them, follow those kids," and it's like a language that she's not used to hear from her child, and it's not used at home, and he never used it before. So something that at the beginning she's just noticing, not paying too much attention, then at some point it starts to worry her because it's very aggressive, or like seeing her child being in huge distress because one of his friends is letting him down and he's playing with somebody else, and that's the only way that he has to play with kids. So it's like the cruelty as well, I would say, of well, it's like, I don't want to say the cruelty, I said it, but it's like as well, like I would say this way, so it's like bullying, that it can be like some kids, and some kids are bullied and some kids are bullies, and then seeing how the bullying continues online, and something else to deal with, the online bullying and how to sort that out. So I think listening that, so I was thinking perhaps having a soundtrack of a loop of this type of things being said all the time, so the mother is listening to that while she's like folding her clothes, so to show the duality and what's happening at the house at the same time, and how that is affecting each other in different ways, but still connected. So perhaps having that loop with the child saying the things while she's like folding the clothes and going into this state of catharsis, from jelly bean to catharsis. And then my mind is changing the story a lot constantly, and letting it to flow. I'm thinking I'm making my life a bit more difficult with this, but more I dig in the story, more these things naturally come out. So because it's such a personal project, and there are so many things deep in this project, so I'm just letting the ideas come out and see if they will work or not. I had very clear from the beginning that I didn't want to use any Spanish, my mother tongue, but I guess it's just naturally coming because I'm talking about the relationship of a mother with her son during the pandemic and after, how that has changed. And as I said, is based in a lot of real events that happened in between my child and me when we were during the pandemic. So I suppose, I guess, naturally, Spanish is coming up. So I'm aware the audience is not Spanish speaking, and I have decided at this point, while I'm still testing, and I will see today at class with David, like what he's gonna say about it, but I have decided to put something in Spanish. And so what it has come to my mind, because it has to do so much with feelings and emotions, like deep emotions. So it has come to my mind and it's calling me to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not a singer, I'm not a dancer, and yes, I'm just making my life hard. So it has come to me to do flamenco. So there is something in the Spanish tradition, like traditional music, especially from the South. I'm not from the South, I'm from Tarragona, near Barcelona. So I'm from the other side of Spain. I go a lot to the south because that's where my parents have been for the past like 30, 40 years. But there is something that is called saeta. So saeta is a singing piece that it can be done without music, and it's a cappella, and you would sing this during Easter. So you have a lot of people singing this type of saetas or songs to the different virgins that we have in Spain, where we do the parade in Easter, or different Christs that we have. And it's very emotional because it's like it's coming, it's like your soul is being ripped apart and you're letting it going out. So it's very, very emotional. So it's coming to me to do that and to do some steps of flamenco, which is, I would say, the saeta in movement, if I can describe it in a way. So it's like through this quick zapateo, which is like clapping with the shoes very quickly on the floor and making this strong noise. You get in that energy and that flow goes. So my mind is saying to me, so after doing the close and getting into this catharsis, so after the catharsis, it comes the awakening. So I was thinking I would add there the saeta, which be a short singing. And it could be something, now called is very, it's very strange to do it, but it could be something like this. Ay, mi niño, mi niño, mi niño, mi niño. Mi niño. ¿Qué te ha pasado, mi niño? Ay, ¿qué te ha pasado, mi niño? Ay, ¿qué te ha pasado? And after, sorry, and after this, so I was thinking to have with the palette a very small space and doing a bit of zapateo, which it could be, sorry about this, it's improvised. So if you see my video, you're gonna have fun. So I don't have the shoes with me. So I don't have the shoes with me, but the zapateo could be like. Okay, something like that. In that, so something not very long, but something under that line. So you get emotion going out of your body. And obviously, I would be tired after that. So to have a little break, we will go with zapateo. blackout. And then it will go into the spotlight on the child. And then probably having a video of us being together, like doing things together as a type of memory of what it was before. And I'm off the stage at that time. Seeing this video. And so the video is gonna be different images of like time being together, spending time together, doing things together. And from there, it's gonna go into blackout. And then the narrator is gonna come from the side with a mask on. So I will have another mask behind to take it. It's gonna come to the mask on, like walking in diagonal to the spot where the narrator normally is. And probably it's at that time when the narrator would say, oh child, child of the moon, child of the desire, don't talk like that to your mom. She has tears of sorrow and pain. Child of the moon. I will get into the space of the narrator. There. And then so that's where I am right now with the performance. I know how it's finishing. So it's finishing with a piece of dance that brings a bit of hope. It's like it's a given dance, so it's a positive energy, like changing. I know at one point the mother is gonna turn the child, so the child is sitting at the desk and it has some wheels under, so perhaps I will bring the desk and the chairs with the wheels, and it's turning it so it's facing the audience, so the audience can see the child, how it is. And then from there I want to, so there are two elements I want to implement as well, which are like, one is like videos I've done with my son, like music, and he was showing them to me. And I had this idea of the public interacting with the music. Now, I think it's gonna be unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be possible, just because understanding the limitations that I have of not being an expert, obviously, of doing these things. So I guess if you want the public to interact with your piece, what I originally thought about was just to let having some iPads where the public can touch them, and so changing the screens, but that means the public being able to stand up. So my gut feeling is saying to me, the public is going to be sitting all the time, and even if they see that, they would not dare to touch it because they would think it's part of the performance. So I don't think it would work. But I would like to add this piece, this little piece of the music I've done with my child together, and representing again the times that we have together, and like how the relationship has evolved somewhere else and is stronger now. And despite the difficulties that we encounter, as many other families encountered during the pandemic, we have gone to a place of I wouldn't say more love than before, because the love has always been there and it has grown, but it's like, I guess, when you face, and that's true, when you face a hard situation with somebody, it's like that relationship gets, they see the two things that happens. Either the relationship breaks or it grows stronger. So I want to show that it grows stronger. And so I would like to implement those videos. I have to decide yet how. And Daigo has mentioned also, he had this fantastic idea of taking quick photos and making a video with a spinning in a spinning device, and which could represent the turmoil that the mother is going through. So that I would like to implement it as well. I would like my son to be involved. I would like my son to be part of the video, be part of the performance. And that is a part I still don't really know if it's going to happen. It's like if he could go live in the performance, or if he could do some videos, because I want to show as well, like you know, it was not only the mother who was having all these emotions, the child was clearly having those emotions, and even more and harder, because you're dependent, so it's not on your hands to change. So I want to show as well, like through his eyes, how hard it was for him, and how he's coming out of that even now, and like what has changed on him after that. So I would like to have that image of him as well. And so, and yeah, just finishing with this dance. So that's overall the performance. As I mentioned before, like for me, it's easier to go into the visuals and how it goes. It's harder to write. I'm not a writer, and it's really hard for me to find the pieces of text of what I want to say with words. It's easier for me to do it through movement or images. So that's where I am with my piece at this stage. And today I will show a bit more class. So hopefully David has a good, I know he's gonna have, obviously, he's a very good teacher. He will give me some advices or where to move it through or what to change. Jack gave me this really great advice of when I showed him what the story was about. He was like, he told me, make the worst worst, push the situation. So I was thinking about this piece of advice that he gave me, and push the situation is, I think I will take it to the point, so with the mother going into catharsis. So I think it's in that moment of when she's folding the clothes of life. representing like the state of the difficult mental state that she's going through and that her child is going through. That it comes to a point like you don't know anymore what to do because you are, yes, you're suffering. So yes, that's what it's gonna be. I wanted to record this because I had all these ideas in my head. I'm going now to rehearse, write more and rehearse before the class today. But this is where I am at the moment. And today's Tuesday. I'm performing in 3 weeks' time. And I'm very excited and a bit scared. But yeah, that's where I am. Thank you so much. Thank you. See you in my next episode. Bye.